K-pop demon hunters, the junior novelization. Chapter 7. The girls peered around the side of a building. There were still a number of people roaming about, so huntrix kept their disguises and prepared to investigate. Mira adjusted her glasses. Zoey yanked on the drawstring of Rumi's hoodie so tightly it sent her to the ground. Rumi got up, took a deep breath, and marched forward. Her friends followed. The music continued, and a cloud of purple smoke formed in the town square. The haze grew larger, and a shadow appeared in it, drawing the crowd's attention. 4 other figures emerged and struck poses. As the smoke faded, the boys from the alleyway appeared singing and dancing. "It's those stupid jerks again," grumbled Rumi. "Wait, these guys are a boy band?" She, Mira, and Zoey watched in disbelief. The crowd began to dance along to the bubbly tune of Soda Pop. An old woman, an Ajumma, pushed past the girls, giddy with excitement. She ran toward the Saja Boys, but Jinu did a body roll so powerful it hurled her back into the crowd like she was hit by a sonic wave. Then he whipped out a tonic pouch and drank from it, causing the old ladies in the crowd to swoon. Realization dawned on Rumi. Frowning, she opened her tonic box and counted. She gasped, "That jerk stole one of my pouches!" Finishing the drink, Jinu gave the crowd a sly smile. The boys continued their captivating performance, and Zoey couldn't help but dance enthusiastically to the song. The other girls shot her a look, so she stopped, but her shoulders kept moving to the rhythm. Rumi's shoulders began to bounce up and down, too. "It is annoyingly catchy," she admitted. Mira's shoulders joined in. "It's infectious," she agreed. Romance and baby Saja blew the crowd kisses, making physical hearts materialize and shoot out to the fans. Some of the hearts hit people in the face and knocked them over. Mira caught one right before it hit Zoey. Astonished, Mira asked, "They can make hearts out of thin air?" Another heart blasted at Zoey, this one hitting her in the face and knocking her down. The girls looked closely at Saja Boys and saw something flash on their arms and necks. Purple patterns. Jinu's eyes glowed yellow, too. "They're demons!" gasped Rumi and Mira just as Zoey exclaimed, "Magicians!" Realizing her mistake, Zoey quickly corrected herself. "I mean demons. Obviously demons." Baby Saja rapped a verse while the other boys danced flawlessly behind him. Their hair was great, and their clothes were colorful. Every move was smooth. The girls scowled, but couldn't help but admire their talent. "Dang, they're good," said Zoey. "Incredible," agreed Rumi reluctantly, "but a demon boy band? Why?" Mira didn't need an explanation. "I don't care. A demon's a demon. We killed them." She lunged forward, ready for battle, but Rumi pulled her back. "No, it's too public." "But what if they try to kill all these people?" Mira asked. Zoey observed the boys carefully. "It doesn't look like they're going to hurt anyone." Saja Boys worked the crowd, helping a lady put ketchup on her hot dog and giving presents to a group of kids. "In fact," Zoey went on, "it almost seems like they're nice demons." Rumi and Mira yelled in unison, "Demons are never nice!" Springing into action, the girls ran through the crowd, swatting the gifts out of people's hands and yelling warnings. "Don't eat that!" They stomped on a corn dog. "Don't open that!" They threw the gifts on the ground, making a little girl cry. As the song reached its crescendo, Saja Boys sent a shockwave through the city, turning everything from buildings to billboards to people's clothing neon to match their aesthetic. It was a total Saja Boys takeover. The crowd rushed a stage in the street, and Rumi finally understood Saja Boys' evil plan. "They're coming after the fans. We've got to stop this, now." The hunters tried to push their way toward the demons, but the crowd was too dense. The song ended, and Jinu locked eyes with Rumi. He smirked, brushing off his shoulder like when they had first met. Rumi's face reddened with rage. Jinu turned to address the crowd. The big screen behind him now displayed a variety show ad. "Come play with us." "That's it for now," he announced with a charming smile. "See you tonight on everyone's favorite variety show. The Saja Boys love you!" With a poof, the boys disappeared into a cloud of smoke, leaving the fans screaming for more. Rumi seethed. as the big screen changed to say, Saja Boys. "That was incredible!" shouted a fan. "I liked that," said another. Rumi growled in frustration. "To be fair, that's also something a magician would do," Zoey trailed off. Beside her, Rumi's eyes filled with fire. "Oh, those are demons, and we're gonna kill them." Chapter 8. Back at the penthouse, Huntrix prepared for battle. They prepped their skin with face masks and slapped their cheeks. They dunked their heads in the sink and screamed underwater. They applied the fiercest eyeliner and wore head-to-toe black leather accessorized with chains and spikes. Even their nails were emblazoned with Kill Saja. Power posing on the roof of the penthouse, the hunters were finally ready. "Let's go kill these guys," said Rumi. "Caw-caw!" shrieked Zoey. That night, Saja Boys appeared on a variety show. "Spicy challenge!" announced the excited host as the crowd cheered. "Welcome back to Who Can Chug the Most Hot Sauce?" The live studio audience laughed. Saja Boys and the co-host were on the stage, sitting in their oversized high chairs with bibs around their necks. They each guzzled hot sauce out of baby bottles. Backstage, the girls snuck around, keeping an eye on the boys. Rumi broke down the plan. "Once they come off stage, we'll jump down for the attack, and these boys will be done, done, done," they sang together, with scheming grins. Then they scuttled away, climbing up a flight of stairs so they could watch the show from above. One by one, Saja Boys conceded defeat when the spiciness became too much. "That's one flaming hot Genu," announced the host as Genu hunched over panting. "And Abby is down." Abby slumped back in his high chair, his eyes rolled to the back of his head and his abs exposed. A trickle of hot sauce leaked out of the corner of his mouth. "Aww," cooed the fans. The host continued his funny play-by-play. "Mystery is history." A single tear slid from beneath Mystery's hair down to his chin. "Looks like Romance is out due to heartburn?" Romance burped up a physical heart that lit on fire before he face-planted onto his tray. "It's a dead heat between my handsome co-host and baby Saja. Can our host catch up?" While tears streamed out of the co-host's eyes, baby Saja leaned back casually and chugged from his bottle, just like he was drinking milk. The co-host's face grew redder and redder, his eyes bloodshot. "So spicy! So spicy!" he spluttered before collapsing into his tray. The host declared baby Saja the winner, and the crowd went wild. "Goo goo gaga," baby Saja said in a surprisingly deep voice. Up in the rafters, Huntrix waited for their chance to attack, holding their weapons at the ready. "Come on, wrap it up," muttered Rumi impatiently. Genu glanced over his shoulder toward where the girls were hiding as the host said, "It's hard to say goodbye when we are having so much fun." So hard, agreed the co-host while the audience made sad noises. Genu walked over and snatched the microphone from the host's hand. "Then why say goodbye when we have extra special guests coming up?" Confused, Rumi muttered, "What is he doing?" "Please welcome Huntrix," Genu announced. A spotlight hit the girls, who exchanged nervous glances. They slowly rose from their hiding spot, putting on fake smiles. The crowd went wild. A fan ripped off his plain t-shirt to reveal a Huntrix t-shirt underneath. "I love you, Huntrix!" he shouted. Bewildered, Rumi racked her brain for an explanation. Turning to the audience, she said, "We just wanted to stop by and congratulate our Hubes on their debut and—" Genu cut her off, once again taking control of the situation. "And of course," his voice rose into a dramatic shout, "play games with us! Bring out the slide." The fans were so excited. "Slide, slide, slide!" they chanted. They cheered as a 3-lane slide with the ball pit at the bottom was wheeled out. Rumi tried to back out. Oh no, we couldn't possibly." But the fans weren't taking no for an answer. "In the balls! In the balls!" they chanted. If there was one thing Rumi couldn't refuse, it was their adoring fans. "Sure," she acquiesced. "For the fans." The crowd cheered again. The girls hopped into separate lanes and started to slide. Very slowly. Their leather pants squeaked horrifically, and the audience covered their ears with their hands. "The leather has betrayed us," Zoey moaned. The hunters continued their painfully slow descent down the slide before their pants made a fart noise and the girls fell ungracefully into the ball pit. "And Huntrix is in the balls," yelled the host. The fans erupted with laughter. None of this was going to the hunters' plan. The girls climbed out clumsily, and Rumi tried to save face. "Well, this was fun." Genu bowed gallantly. "It was truly an honor to share the stage with you." The audience swooned. "So hot," said one fan. "And respectful," chimed in another. Realizing Genu was trying to sway the fans in Saja Boys' favor, Rumi replied, "Oh no, the honor is ours." The girls bowed to the boys. With an even lower bow, Genu said, "No, it was ours." Huntrix and Saja Boys bowed lower and lower until the girls' legs began trembling and the boys were nearly folded in half. Finally, the stage curtains closed. Saja Boys raced out of the room with the girls right on their tails. Chapter 9. The hunters burst out of the building. They scanned the street for the Saja Boys and spotted one heading into the bathhouse across the alley. "Let's go get these guys," said Rumi in hot pursuit. Zoey gasped in delight. "We finally get to go to the bathhouse with Rumi!" Huntrix entered with their weapons raised. Steam rose from the tubs all around them, where patrons were enjoying a good soak. Zoe's smile disappeared as she realized what kind of bathhouse this was. "Mans!" she exclaimed. The girls spluttered in an exasperated disgust. Through the steam they saw Saja Boys standing beside one of the pools. Genu laughed. "Wow, did you really follow us in here?" "I knew they would," said Abby, his abs glistening. He pointed in the direction of Mira and Zoey. "That one's always looking at me." "No, we're not," they lied. Their eyes turned into popcorn abs again, betraying them. "You think we're just going to let you steal our fans?" asked Rumi angrily. "You're going to have to fight us for them." The girls got into fighting stances. "Yeah, keep your hands off our Han Moon," yelled Zoey. Genu grinned smugly. "We're not here to fight," he said calmly. He pointed at the tubs where pink holes formed in the water. "They are." Gaunt monsters with long, stringy hair emerged from the pools, their eyes glowing and sinister. Rumi gasped. "Water demons!" "Deadpan as always," Mira said. "Oh, great. My favorite." Genu instructed the ugly beasts. "Get rid of the hunters. Then you can eat all the souls you want." The water demons sprang from the pools, launching themselves at the hunters. The girls fought them as the Han Moon continued to tear open. "Don't let this turn you off to bathhouses, Rumi," said Zoey. "It's usually really fun and relaxing." Genu, seeing that the hunters had their hands full, bid them farewell. "Have fun." "Whoa, geez, oh!" His attempted smugness was interrupted as he slipped on a puddle. Quickly regaining his composure, he ran out. The girls carried on the battle with the demons. Genu ran through the bathhouse halls, giddy and giggling, but Rumi was right behind him. She did a jumping flip off the walls to get in front of him. She lunged at him with her sword. "Whoa, whoa, hey!" said Genu, dodging her attacks. Back in the bathhouse, Zoey and Mira fended off the demons with the Han Moon warping all around them. "What's going on with the Han Moon?" said Zoey. "It's getting worse." As more hideous creatures crawled through the cracks, Mira yelled, "We can't hold them. We need Rumi." But Rumi was locked in battle with Genu inside a steam room. She swung at his head and missed. "Whoa, I'm in the face." Genu sat back on a bench mid-fight and smirked. "I needed to steal your fans." He hurled a bucket at Rumi, but she sliced it in half. He got up and slashed Rumi's sleeve with a claw. Using his demon powers, he disappeared, then rematerialized behind Rumi in a cloud of pink smoke. But she managed to kick him down, pinning him on the bench. Her sword was close to his throat now, but Genu pushed against the blade. They were at a stalemate. Maintaining his bravado, Genu let out a strained laugh. "Ha! Ha! You're strong." As they struggled, the steam around them dissipated. Jinu glanced over at the place where he had sliced her clothing. There, on full display, were her patterns. Jinu's smug smile vanished. Rumi saw his surprise and looked down at her arm. Jinu used this moment to push her off him. Jinu stared at her, still in shock. A hunter who's part demon? Rumi clutched the place where her arm was exposed, trying to cover up her shame. Just then, the wall behind her exploded. She saw Mira's and Zoey's backs as they fended off demons. Their desperate pleas echoed in her ears. Rumi, we need your help. What are you doing? Where are you? Rumi, we need you. Time slowed for Rumi as Mira and Zoey turned to face her. She was about to be exposed for who she truly was, a hunter with demon patterns. She was paralyzed. Recognizing the terror in Rumi's eyes, Jinu grabbed her and spun her in his arms. His hair fluttered as he held her gaze, but then he raced off, leaving her stumbling backward. Mira and Zoey finally turned to see Rumi. Rumi! They called out to her. But they weren't reacting to her patterns. Rumi saw her arm was now wrapped in a towel. Jinu had helped her keep her secret. She looked around, but he was gone. Mira's yell knocked Rumi out of her reverie. Get in here! We need you! Shouted Zoey. Rumi rejoined the battle. The girls vanquished monsters left and right. Rumi laid one final blow to the ground, killing off the remaining beasts. They were finally done, exhausted and breathless. An old man wearing only a towel came up behind them. Hey! He shouted. This is the men's bathhouse. Get out of here! Frantically apologizing, the girls bowed and ran out, shielding their eyes. Inside the bathhouse, the patron scrubbed his back and quietly sang Soda Pop to himself. Another water demon emerged from the crack in the Han moon. He snuck behind the unsuspecting old man and sucked out his soul. Chapter 10. Jinu walked down the street alone, trying to make sense of what he'd just seen. A hunter who's part demon? He said again. Suddenly, whispers filled his ears. The patterns on his wrists glowed pink, flaring all the way up to his neck. Jinu knew what was coming. He was yanked out of the human world. He landed in a heap in front of Guima's palace. The horde of demons below was going wild as Soda Pop played. They waved their light sticks and jumped up and down excitedly. Saja Boys! Saja Boys! They cheered. They crowded around the other Saja Boys who clapped and made heart shapes with their hands. They were still in their human forms, wearing their neon outfits. One of the demons held a light stick in each of his hands, tears streaming down his gaunt face. I love you guys! He cried. As the monstrous fans continued chanting, Saja Boys transformed back into their demon selves, hunched over, covered in patterns, and dressed in tattered black hanbok. They're just like us, gushed a horned admirer. Suddenly, a streak of blue light shone overhead, followed by another and another. They sailed through the dark like shooting stars. A one-eyed creature pointed at the sky and yelled excitedly, Souls incoming! Behind Jinu, the souls crashed into Guima, strengthening his flames. Guima was pleased. My little soda pop, he sang. It's catchy. Surprisingly, your plan is working. A dark look passed over Jinu's face, but when he turned to Guima, he grinned. I know, and that soul is just the starter. So let me get back to work, and you'll be feasting in no time. One of the hunters bears my mark, but I have no control over her, Guima said. This is good, replied Jinu. This means she has shame. I'll find out what it is, and we can use it to destroy her and the hunters for good. Guima took this in. I've taught you well, Jinu. Jinu let out a humorless laugh. Back at the penthouse, Huntrix was recovering from the bathhouse fight. Their faces bore scratches and cuts from their battle. Standing in their pajamas, they looked out their panoramic window. Rumi stared at the Han moon, now shredded with pink tears. How did we go from gold to this? Look at all the weak spots. We've never seen the Han moon like this before, said Zoey, her voice tinged with fear. Rumi's eyes narrowed. Guima must know we're so close to sealing it for good. So he sends a demon boy band? Asked Mira in disbelief. Well, it's working, said Rumi. Ever the optimist, Zoey tried to encourage her friends. Don't worry, I'm sure soda pop is just a fad. These boys will be old news by next week. You'll see. Suddenly the girls heard their front door opening. They gasped, then they quickly applied makeup to cover their battle wounds. Bobby's voice called out to them, Girls! Hi, Bobby! They called back in their usual sing-song manner. Bobby walked in, stressed and glued to his phone. It's a lot more serious than I thought. The Saja Boys have gone completely viral after that variety show. He swiped through videos of fans doing Saja's signature shoulder-bobbing dance, including one of Healer Han. They even have their own fandom, Bobby said. Join the pride, yelled the fans. Bobby stopped swiping and began bouncing his shoulders up and down to the beat. Zoey stood next to him, dancing along. Control those shoulders, snapped Rumi and Mira. Bobby turned off his phone. Wow, it is catchy, said Zoey in astonishment. Yeah, you're right, Zoey, agreed Bobby. They're amazing, but they suck. I'm sorry, I've been glued to this tiny screen for hours. I just need to look away. He turned toward the window, exhaling and letting calm wash over him. Talking to himself, he said, Relax, Bobby. It's just social media numbers, not the end of the world. The girls stood behind him, staring at the crumbling Han moon. Bobby had no idea how much trouble their world was in. Rumi was pensive. This is a battle for hearts and minds, a battle for the fans. And what's the biggest battlefield of them all? She asked her friends. The award show, answered Mira and Zoey as Bobby said, the Itaewon State Fair? Addressing her girls, Rumi said enthusiastically, That's right. We have to crush that stage, be better than we've ever been with a show to end the Saja Boys for good. She pointed to Zoey. Zoey, we're going to need a new song. Zoey held up a stack of colorful notebooks. On one of them, she had drawn a demon that had X for eyes. I got 23 notebooks full of demon insults ready to go. As supportive as ever, Bobby yelled, Yeah, let's make it 30 notebooks. Rumi turned next to Mira. Mira, the choreography. Mira smirked all attitude. Yep, making them hotter. Bobby picked up behind her, typing on his phone. Backup dancers, ready to go, he confirmed. Rumi fed off their energy. We'll write a brand new song, a diss track to expose the Saja Boys, and send those disgusting demons back to the depths where they belong, finished Zoey. Amped, Mira screamed, Yeah! Yeah! Echoed Zoey. Yeah! Responded Mira again. Yeah! Added Zoey. Mira and Zoey looked to Rumi, who stood silently with an eyebrow raised and her arms crossed. For a second, she didn't move. Then she unleashed a Yeah! And they all screamed together. Zoey pumped her fists and kicked the air. We're going to kick their butts. Excited, the girls jumped over the couch to tackle their idle duties, leaving Bobby alone by the window. He beamed with pride. That's my girls. Not sure about this whole demon thing. I mean, they seem like nice people, but loving the energy. Rumi walked into her room and shut the door behind her. She leaned back and exhaled, worried about her voice. Then she remembered the tonics. She walked over to the box and pulled one out. Okay, tonics, she said, steeling herself. Let's do this. She inspected the wrapper and let out a groan. Beneath the label, she saw that the tonic was nothing special, just 100% grape juice. Healer Han had tricked them. Zoey, she said with a sigh. Frustrated, she looked over at her bed. On it was the towel Jinu had tied over her arm during their fight at the bathhouse. She thought back to Jinu holding her in his arms as he covered up her patterns. His sultry voice echoed in her head. A hunter who's part demon? Suddenly, a whistle cut through her memory. Rumi turned her head and noticed a magpie perched on the ledge of her balcony. Is that bird wearing a tiny hat? She asked aloud. She walked over to the glass door and slid it open. The strange creature with a miniature Korean gat on his head was a six-eyed bird named Sussy. It screeched and hopped down the ledge. Just then, a low growl filled the air. Two glowing orange eyes appeared at the end of the balcony. Rumi gasped and conjured her sword. Derpy, Jinu's gigantic pet tiger, emerged from the shadows. As he stalked toward her, Derpy knocked over a potted plant. He attempted to pick it up with his furry paw, but couldn't get a grip. He tried again and again, completely fixated. Rumi put her sword down. Derpy was clearly harmless. Rumi bent down and righted the pot. Derpy looked up in gratitude, then resumed his slow walk toward her. But he knocked over the pot again. He tried to fix it once more. Sussy threw his head back with an impatient sigh. Rumi giggled. No, really. It's okay. Just leave it. Kneeling now, Rumi was face to face with the blue tiger. What are you? In response, Derpy opened his mouth and dropped a slobbery card to the ground. Rumi let out a sound of disgust, but picked it up. Hello, friend? She said, reading the front. Opening the card, she read on. Want to meet? Jinu. Rumi scoffed. Meet you? I'm not gonna go meet you. Who do you think you... Ah! The magpie flew past Rumi's ear and landed on Derpy's head. A portal opened below them and the animal sank into it. Derpy took one final look at the toppled plant before he and Sussy disappeared below the balcony. Rumi walked over to the ledge and looked down. The animals rose out from another portal on the street below. Derpy looked up at her, expecting her to follow. Rumi made her decision. Okay, Jinu, let's meet. Chapter 11. Derpy ambled along the narrow streets of Bukchon, a historical village turned tourist attraction lined with hanbok rental stores. He stopped in front of an ancient tiger statue and looked behind him. He saw Rumi peering back at him from around a building. His work complete, Derpy jumped into the statue, disappearing. Rumi saw a silhouetted figure standing on a rooftop. Jinu. She silently made her way up. His back was toward her, like a sitting duck. She summoned her sword and swing! She sliced off Jinu's head. As Rumi landed on the other side of him, the head rolled next to her feet. But it wasn't Jinu. It was a plastic mannequin from one of the stores below. What? Said Rumi in surprise. The real Jinu emerged from behind the headless mannequin. Wow, I wasn't expecting a hug, but... Rumi spun around and thrust her sword at him. The tip of her blade stopped just millimeters away from Jinu's throat. Jeez, okay, calm down. I thought the mannequin was going to be a fun icebreaker, but I see I was wrong. Rumi swung her sword repeatedly and kept missing him. Jinu held his hands up pleadingly in front of his chest. I just want to talk. Talk? Screeched Rumi. About your patterns. But first I want to talk about those pants. His tone changed from serious to teasing. Teddy bears and choo-choo trains? Really? Rumi looked down to see she hadn't changed out of her pajama pants, which had pictures of teddy bears and trains all over them. She turned back to Jinu. He stared at her innocently and made a motion like he was tugging on the bell of a train. Choo-choo! You were supposed to be dead by now, she shouted. Furious, Rumi lunged at him. He dodged her again. I could have told your friends who you are. Jinu poofed to the other side of the rooftop. But I didn't, did I? Because, he threw out a guess, they don't know. Rumi bristled. His suspicions confirmed by her reaction, Jinu gave a sly smile. Ah, I did guess right. Rumi was speechless, so Jinu continued thinking aloud. A demon girl, also HUNTR. Hiding, walking around free in the human world? Rumi found her voice again. Just HUNTR, not demon. Then how did you get the patterns? He demanded. That's none of your business. Huh. Jinu tried to use their similarities to get her to trust him. I know what it feels like to have... Feel? Scoffed Rumi. You're a demon. Demons don't feel anything. Jinu stared at her. Is that what you think? That's all demons do, feel. Feel our shame, our misery. It's how Guima controls us. Do you not hear him in your ear? Rumi made a face. What are you talking about? You're lucky. I'll never forget the first time I heard him. It was 400 years ago. He looked down at his hands. The world around them morphed into Jinu's past life. Before him was his ill mother and little sister, alongside a worn-looking stringed instrument. My family was extremely poor and miserable, Jinu explained. I had a single possession to my name, an old bipa, so I busked the streets, but it didn't get me anywhere. I was desperate. We were starving. Then I heard him. Guima appeared before Jinu in the reflection of a dirty puddle, whispering savagely in his ear, You can't do anything for your family. You're not good enough for them. But I can help you be good enough. Guima granted Jinu a new, lavish life as a musician. His mother and sister were finally free of their miserable lifestyle. Jinu continued, Overnight, my fate was changed. I was praised for my voice, even by the king himself. My family and I lived on the palace grounds. Our bellies were finally full, our clothes clean. We were happy. He looked in a mirror and noticed the pink patterns on his body. But the patterns, they kept spreading until they consumed me, and I was condemned to the demon world, prisoner of Guima for all eternity. My family lost everything, and without me, they were even worse off than before. Jinu was now a demon, stuck in the demon realm, chained to the shame of his past. Every day since, I've been haunted by the memory of failing them. He heard Guima's whispers again. You left them behind, failed them. The flashback ended. Jinu lifted his wrists to show the searing patterns that marked them, his shackles. He looked up with haunted eyes. His tone was more serious than ever. These are a constant reminder of my shame, a shame I can never escape. Rumi looked concerned, almost sad for him. Her sword was lowered at her side. Jinu walked closer to her and placed his hand on her neckline. Instantly, her demon patterns glowed. Yours are a reminder, too, of a shame of your own. You don't know me, Rumi retorted. You know you can tell me. I'll understand. I'm the only one who can. For a moment, their eyes met, but then the tip of Rumi's sword appeared under Jinu's chin. She was not wavering. I'm nothing like you, she said. Denial. I get it. I was once there too. I'll be here when you're done pretending. Until next time. There won't be a next time, Rumi yelled, lunging at him. But he disappeared in a cloud of pink smoke, leaving Rumi alone and frustrated. Ah! She screamed into the night. Back at home, Rumi threw her teddy bear pants into the trash. Chapter 12. Inside their studio, HUNTR sat around a small table covered in drinks and snacks. Rumi plucked at the strings of her guitar, scowling while Mira and Zoey sang potential lyrics for their new song, but trailed off hopelessly. "Ugh, this song sucks," wailed Zoey. She slumped forward over her keyboard, which erupted in a bunch of discordant notes. "We only have to write the best diss track ever to crush the awards show, or there will be a demon apocalypse," said Mira sarcastically. "No pressure at all." Falling onto a cushion, she threw a handful of darts backward. They landed on a poster of Jinu taped to the front of a dartboard, striking him right in the face. The entire wall was decorated with defaced Saja Boys posters and handwritten signs that said things like, "Liars," "You're not so hot," "Do not get distracted by very handsome faces," and "bodies." Zoey began crawling toward the wall, seething. "Yeah, we gotta get up close and insult their stupid faces. They're nasty, disgusting, not beautiful." But as she approached, Mystery Saja's poster, which had red horns drawn on his head, Zoey's face went soft, almost loving. Perfectly dewy, symmetrical, shimmering. A line of drool fell from her mouth as she got close enough that her nose almost touched the photo. "Okay, enough!" Mira yelled, ripping the posters off the wall. "I'm taking these down, just like how we're going to take down these boys." That gave Rumi an idea. "Take down! Take down! That's the song! It's a takedown!" Now that inspiration had struck, a song came together quickly. The girls stood together and riffed easily, coming up with killer lyrics. Even better, Rumi's voice didn't break. "Whoa, that's sounding good," said Mira excitedly. Rumi sang another part, but this time she coughed. "Sorry, guys." No, take it easy," said Zoey. "Yeah," agreed Mira. "Rest that voice for the awards show." Saja Boys and HUNTR stood on the stage of a live TV music show. The host announced the results. "This week's winner is the Saja Boys." Confetti rained down as the boys accepted their award. HUNTR stood off to the side, politely clapping but glaring at them. Ginu glanced over and smirked. As Saja Boys' popularity grew, the demon attacks became more and more frequent. While 3 older ladies power walked alongside the river, the enormous pink hole forming behind them went unnoticed. A gigantic, green-skinned monster rose out of it. Bearing its fangs and sharp claws, just as he was about to strike, Rumi flew in to save them. Another vile creature with glowing yellow eyes ripped through the ground, but Zoey and Mira slashed it before it could attack. Mira picked up another demon by the ankles and spun him in the air before throwing him against a metal barrier. He ricocheted, and a melodic clang rang out, another inspiration for their song. "Wait, that's the beat!" Mira exclaimed. "Yeah, totally!" cheered Zoey, holding a struggling one-eyed demon in a powerful headlock. Meanwhile, Rumi pinned a green monster against a wall. "Are you a prisoner too?" she whispered. "Is Guima making you do this?" The demon's mouth contorted in a devilish sneer. He screeched, about to attack her, when Mira came from behind and stabbed it in the face, causing an explosion of pink glitter. "You okay?" Mira asked, concern etched on her face. "Yeah," said Rumi, shaken. "Thanks for having my back." She ran off abruptly to kill more demons, while Mira looked on, her suspicions growing. The following week, Saja Boys and HUNTR were on the music competition again. This week's number 1 is Golden by HUNTR. The girls accepted bouquets of roses happily, then turned to Saja Boys with gloating smiles. The boy band politely clapped, smirking back and looking unconcerned. The girls continued to work on their diss track, determined to beat the boys at the awards show. Inside a subway station, a woman waited for a train. 2 green monsters ripped through the hanmoon behind her, their tongues lolling out of their mouths and their claws raised overhead. They were about to attack when HUNTR sprang onto the scene and destroyed them. The woman continued onto the subway, oblivious to what had just happened. The girls smiled until the doors closed, revealing that the entire outside of the train was an advertisement for the Saja Boys. Their resolve to beat the boy band grew even greater. That night, Derpy showed up on Rumi's balcony and presented another slobbery card. Rumi closed his mouth and shut her door, rejecting the message from Ginu. Sometime later, inside the studio, HUNTR refined their lyrics. Their recent encounters fueled their creativity, and Mira added a line about how the demons didn't deserve to live. Rumi sat in silence, and the hanmoon shivered, pink. HUNTR returned to the Seoul riverfront, flying through the air slaying demons. Suddenly, Zoey stopped them and pointed to their billboard. "Look!" she cried, as it changed into a Saja Boy ad. The girls stared up at it, frowning. That night, Bobby sat alone in the HUNTR penthouse, swiping through video after viral video of screaming Saja Boy fans. Join the pride. We love you, Jinu. Saja, 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 they chanted. One of the fans ripped off his HUNTR's t-shirt to reveal a Saja Boys shirt underneath. Bobby's brow creased with worry, while behind him, the Han moon weakened, pinker than ever before. Chapter 13. HUNTR sat at a long table preparing for a fan event. As the girls limbered up their arms and fingers for the signing, Bobby gave a pep talk. "All right, team," he said encouragingly. "I know everything is all Saja, 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 but we're going to turn it into HUNTR, HUNTR, HUNTR. Yeah!" He set a stack of headshots on the table and tried to hype them up even more. "These fans slept on the sidewalk overnight." The girls smiled and clicked their pens together, cheering, "Happy fans, happy Han Moon!" The doors opened and a huge group of people entered. Bobby attempted to wrangle them. Hey, single file, no pushing." 5 fans wearing sleeping bags stepped forward. "And who should I make this out to?" asked Rumi, uncapping her pen. "To our biggest fans," said a familiar voice. The sleeping bags fell to the ground, revealing Saja Boys. The fans yelled in excitement, while the girls groaned. "It is an honor," Bobby told Saja Boys. Then he sprang into action, barking instructions at the assistants. "Table, now!" 2 people ran over with a table for the boys. "Joint signing?" exclaimed the crowd. Half of the people ran over to form a line in front of Saja Boys' signing table. Rumi stood up abruptly. Not wanting to lose any fans, she offered, "The Saja Boys will sit with us." Her friends were shocked. "What? Rumi, what are you doing?" But Bobby approved. "Genius," he said, proud tears streaming down his face. The crowd was so excited the 2 groups were going to share a table. Rumi turned to her girls to explain. "We need every fan." Abby sat on one side of Mira and Romance sat on the other. Romance cradled his cheek in his hand as he gazed lovingly up at Mira. His other arm was wrapped around the back of her chair. "We keep meeting like this," he said while she glared at him. Farther down the table, Baby was chugging water, like a baby would drink from a baby bottle. Zoey put her hands on her hips and began to say, "I am not sitting with no Saja boy." But Mystery came and sat on her other side, which made her instantly giggly. "Hee, what's up?" Mira watched in horror as Abby pressed sheets of paper to his stomach, then shaded them with a pencil. He handed the Ab autographs to 3 older ladies who tittered excitedly. Chinu took a seat next to Rumi, hovering over her shoulder. "I didn't think you liked sharing," he said. Rumi turned away. "I love sharing." "Oh," he said in a low voice, moving toward Rumi's ear to speak. "So you shared your secret with your friends?" Rumi glanced guiltily down the table at her friends. Mira was scribbling angrily on a poster. "If only I could smash your demon face in right now." She growled at Romance as he persisted in gazing lovingly at her. Then Mira turned to the fan and smiled sweetly. "Thanks for coming." Chinu continued taunting Rumi, speaking quietly only she could hear. "Should I tell them?" "No, I'm going to tell them. Eventually," she said. A young fan interrupted. "Are you whispering?" she asked. Rumi and Jinu broke apart. With guilty looks on their faces, they made unintelligible flustered noises before handing her a poster signed by both of them. The fangirl smiled. "Your secret's safe with me," she whispered. She pointed at her shirt, which said Rujinu. On it was a hand-drawn image of Jinu as a winged creature flying through the air with Rumi riding on his back. A giant heart encircled them. Rumi and Jinu laughed nervously as the fan cooed. "So cute!" Meanwhile, Zoey thanked a fan for coming. Next to her, Mystery Saja began barking. Zoey swatted his head with her pen like he was a misbehaving dog. "No! Bad Saja boy!" Another fan with a broken leg propped his cast on the table where Mira, Abby, and Romance were sitting. "I'll sign first," said Mira. Abby grabbed the cast and said, "No, I'll sign first." "I'll sign first," said Romance. No one would back down. They struggled over the cast, arguing about who would sign first while the fanboy winced in pain. Rumi continued her conversation with Jinu while signing. I'm not going to talk to someone who's helping Guima. I'm helping myself. Look, if I help him, he's promised to erase my memories and those voices in my head will be gone. Pathetic, spat Rumi. I'm pathetic. Jinu leaned in even more closely and whispered in Rumi's ear, You can't even talk about your patterns. Rumi slammed her heel onto Jinu's foot under the table. Wincing, he grabbed his leg. You want me to talk about my patterns? She hissed. I hate them, just like I hate all demons. How I hate Guima. Jinu looked at her earnestly, his voice serious. If hate could defeat Guima, I would have done it a long time ago. Trust me. They stared at each other while Rumi considered his words. But then a cute voice cut in. Excuse me, Mr. Jinu? They looked over to see a tiny, adorable fan with big eyes and chubby cheeks. She held out a paper to Jinu with 2 hands. I made this for you. For me? Jinu took the paper and looked at it. Rumi glanced at it over his shoulder. Maybe listen to those voices instead of the ones in your head, she said knowingly. She stood up and gestured toward Jinu, presenting him to the crowd. Applauding, she said, Isn't he great? Woo! Jinu, everybody! The crowd joined in the applause and cheered. But Mira turned and stared at Rumi in disbelief. Woo, Jinu, she said incredulously. Jinu continued staring at the paper the little fan had given him and stood up abruptly. Unfortunately, the Saja Boys have to run. Thank you, everyone. The boys filed out carrying flowers their admirers had gifted them. As soon as they were out of sight, they dumped all the bouquets in a trash can. Though still in their human form, they hunched demon-like as they walked away. After tossing his own flowers, Jinu looked again at the paper the tiny fan had given him. It was a drawing of him as an angel. Underneath she had written, Jinu, you have a beautiful soul. He zeroed in on the last words. His brows furrowed. Back at the signing table, Bobby showed Zoey and Mira his phone. The internet loves this, and the internet is never wrong. Mira snatched the phone to see fan cams of HUNTR and Saja Boys. She focused on a post of Jinu nudging Rumi's foot with his own. The caption read, Rujinu, playing footsie? Rujinu? Exclaimed Bobby, delighted at the celebrity couple name. That's genius! Mira tapped the screen. The next post was a drawing of Zoey and Mystery as a happy couple holding a little baby Saja wrapped in a blanket with a pacifier in his mouth. Zoey Street? Where did they come up with that? Bobby raved. Mira tapped again to see a picture of her own expressionless face with Romance and Abby posing on either side of her. Their photo was surrounded by a giant pink heart. Zoey and Bobby fawned over the photo. Mira stumbled over the celebrity name. Miromaby? She gripped the phone tightly and growled, more frustrated than ever. Okay, friends, hopefully you really enjoyed this story. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.